Hey friends, welcome back. You probably enjoy animals and like to learn about them, whether it's by raising pets, watching a cute cat video, or finding out how to survive a shark attack. Today, I want to take this a step further and talk about how we can learn from animals. Now, by this, I don't mean trite sayings like, oh, you have to be as fast as a cheetah or as strong as a lion. Animals are actually really amazing and fascinating creatures that have been shaped in the crucible of nature. And in this video, we'll see stories of 4 mysterious animals and the unexpected ways that we can learn from them. So let's crack into it. Our first animal today is the beaver. We humans can't quite seem to figure beavers out. People way back in the 12th century used to tell tales that beavers, knowing that they were being hunted for their gonads, would bite them off and throw them to the hunter in order to escape. Even today, people disagree if beavers are a climate savior that creates entire ecosystems or a pest that causes flooding. But our unexpected idea today takes us back to 1758, when prominent French naturalist Count Buffon received a beaver from Canada. Now, you must first understand that beavers were all the rage in the 18th century, having a reputation for being a kind of animal Einstein, able to form utopic societies complete with a government, laws, and even police. Buffon, of course, was well aware of the beaver's reputation, so imagine his disappointment when he found his pet beaver to be gloomy and melancholic, showing no inclination to build the fantastic homes that he had heard so much about. In the end, he chalked up this damning downer to the fact that the beaver was on its own and away from its friends. So what actually happened to Buffon's beaver? It turns out that the real problem was the beaver's environment, not its lack of friends. Beavers only start building when they hear the sound of running water, which triggers an urge to pile sticks and mud onto the spot until they can no longer hear the sound. Because this particular beaver was kept in the Parisian gardens without this sound, it lacked the environmental trigger to get to work. It sounds pretty obvious that a change in a beaver's environment will lead to a change in its behaviour, but this is quite easy to overlook in our own lives. Let's say you set a New Year's resolution to get in shape. You probably already know the right behaviours to get to your goal, and maybe you're even able to map out an entire dieting regimen to reduce your calorie intake over the next few months. But if you neglect your environment and leave your fridge full of cupcakes, even the best made plans are likely to fail. Just as we wouldn't expect the beaver to motivate itself into building without the sound of running water, make sure that your environment sets you up for success in whatever you want to do. Having the right environment is key to all kinds of success. If you want to make more money, surround yourself with wealth triggers that remind you that money is abundant. And if you want to connect with someone, take the phone off the table. If you want to succeed, you need to take action. And if you want to take action, your environment matters. Just like the beaver. Our second animal is the sloth. Now, sloths are weird creatures, and people used to say some pretty savage things about them, such as calling them ugly, stupid, useless, deformed, and utterly maladapted. How they managed to say such mean things to such a cute face is anyone's guess, but haters are just gonna hate, right? In all seriousness though, if you were to see a sloth crawling on the ground with its awkward posture, slow movements, and lack of defensive capabilities, you might see why it failed to command a high regard amongst those who first laid eyes on it. But seen the right way, sloths are actually extremely well-adapted creatures, specializing in stealth and energy conservation. This is a different survival strategy from what we are used to, and likely explains why they are so misunderstood. Unlike most camouflage animals, the sloth doubles down on avoiding detection, sacrificing all capabilities of escape and defense. This makes sense for 2 reasons. First, defense is pointless against predators such as the jaguar or the harpy eagle, which far outmatch the sloth in terms of speed and power. And second, Slow movements not only improve stealth, but also allow the sloth to conserve energy and so survive on a diet of twigs and leaves. Koalas actually employ a similar approach, but the sloths really take it to the next level, being the only mammal without extensor muscles in order to save energy. This means that the sloths can only pull and not push, and so it turns out that their inability to walk on the ground and push off their weight off the ground is an adaptive quality and not a defect. So what can we learn from the sloth? To me, it is that there are many ways to win. If your workplace is a jungle, you can try to compete to become the next apex predator, or you can go your own way and create a niche for yourself by playing to your own strengths, just as the sloth did with stealth and energy conservation. Sloths are a really good reminder not to judge others too quickly. Someone might be crawling along in their career, but maybe if you see them at home with their family, you may realize that they are doing exactly what makes them happy. So take a moment to understand before calling them names, especially to this face. Quick pause. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying it so far, please remember to drop a like down below. I really appreciate it and it helps the channel grow. Let's move on to the next one. Our third animal today is the bat. And by bat we mean the real deal bats, the vampire bat. These bats do feed on blood, but are somewhat misrepresented in that they actually prefer to sneak up on their victim by hopping on the ground rather than flying, and that they don't actually suck your blood, but they lap it up instead. Okay, so a hopping blood lapper is not much better than a flying bloodsucker, but still good to know. Anyway, what's really interesting about the bat is that they share food with friends and family. Because they can't always find food every night, and they can only survive for about 2 nights without a meal, they have developed a social system of reciprocal sharing, so they don't starve. This brings us to the broader question. If bats are giving out blood on credit, why don't they charge interest? Credit arrangements have existed in some form across all human cultures. So, were bats not smart enough to charge interest like a true bloodsucker? My view is that these bats actually do benefit from zero interest lending in the form of storage benefits. Let's say you are a highly successful bat and you've managed to secure a meal for 100 nights in a row. However, you are also a stingy bat, and so you refuse to share your meal across all the nights. Despite your supreme hunting skills, if you just get unlucky for the next 2 nights in a row, it's game over for you. However, if you were a friendly bat and shared your meal for each of the 100 nights, then you would have 100 bat IOUs and would be able to go for 100 nights without starving, just by asking for your blood back. With the specter of starvation hanging over you, your friends represent a sort of blood bank, where you can deposit your excess blood in times of plenty and draw from it in times of need. But if you think about it, if you were some kind of vampire bat superstar, this storage benefit becomes less meaningful as you accumulate more and more IOUs. At this turning point, you may move your focus away from your impending starvation and suddenly notice a market opportunity if many bats are having a bad night. You figure if you're going to be giving out your excess food anyway, it may as well go to the highest bidder. So you offer it to the bat who agrees to return you twofold the amount of blood, and you make sure that he signs his loan contract in blood. Okay, so clearly entrepreneurial bats don't exist, and I'm not encouraging predatory lending behavior. My point is that there is a turning point from scarcity to abundance, which bats can't comprehend, but we can. When we live in abundance, we spot more opportunities, we feel more positive, and we add more to the world, all of which translates into lots of good things coming our way. You can think of this like climbing a mountain. At the bottom, we have real scarcity, where we are not earning enough and so have real concerns as to whether or not we're able to make ends meet. Some of us climb by hustling and increase our earning power, but most simply inflate their expenses into financial scarcity, where they remain about 2 months away from starvation. Few climb by saving, but for most, financial conditions change, but their mindset stays the same in mental scarcity. This is where our superstar bat ended his climb. As a human, you owe it to yourself to work hard, mind your spending, but also transform your mindset to live in abundance. Once we get to the top, a ladder descends from the sky and we start our real ascent toward higher purpose. Our last animal is the eel. For thousands of years, there has been a great mystery surrounding where the common freshwater eel comes from. Eel reproduction puzzled even the likes of Aristotle and Sigmund Freud, who were unable to locate the eel's gonads despite repeated efforts. This spawned much speculation as to how the eels came to be, such as that they reproduced by rubbing themselves against rocks, or that they were born from beetles. Today, we know that the eel's life cycle is particularly slippery because it involves metamorphosis and migration. Not only do eels have a larval stage in which they are tiny and look nothing like the yellow eels that people eat, eel larvae are also only found in the ocean, far away from the freshwater rivers that people catch the yellow eels in. This also explains the puzzle of the missing eel gonads. Yellow eels living in freshwater are sexually immature, as eels only reproduce in the oceans from which they came. People mostly caught eels in this life cycle phase before their final metamorphosis into silver eels, where they will develop these organs as they migrate back into the ocean to mate. There's a whole lot of trivia about eels, and you can see why people back then had such a hard time with them. In fact, for all we know about the eel today, much about them still remains a mystery. We still don't know what prompts their transformation from yellow eels into silver eels, nor seen how they mate, or figured out for certain what happens to them when they die. And this brings us to our broader point, that of the great unknown. To me, the eel is a humbling reminder that even though we've made some progress in uncovering the world's mysteries, we still have a long way to go. If we can't even get to grips with a fish that we eat, it may take us a while to figure out what dark matter is, how our brains store memories, or even why we yawn. In this is a promise of a better tomorrow and a reassurance that we don't need to have all the answers at any moment. We're all in the same boat of ignorance, so let's explore the great unknown together. So that's about it for the video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe. My goal is to bring to you a constellation of the best ideas so you can create your own by connecting the dots. See you in the next one.